Hi everybody! Welcome to Equitech Horizons, a blog site dedicated to empowering diversity in STEM. My name is Navi Sharma. I am the creator and founder of Equitech Horizons, and I basically created this blog site with the goal of advancing an inclusive environment and technology for women and minorities. And I'm so grateful that you are here today with us, joining us on this fun and exciting project that we're about to delve into. So the project involves building a webpage, your very own webpage from scratch in HTML. Now, while this is meant to be a beginner tutorial, I do implore you guys, if you're not already familiar with HTML, to do a little research on HTML on your own before returning to this tutorial, just so that you can familiarize yourself better and be able to better follow along with my code. So I'm going to go ahead and start us off by having us navigate to this website right here. Now, if you take a look, this website is called code.visualstudio.com/download, right? So this website is essentially where you download Visual Studio Code. And what is Visual Studio Code? Visual Studio Code is a software application, specifically an integrated development environment, right? An integrated development environment, or IDE, is a software application that programmers like myself use to write and execute our code efficiently. It allows us to write out our code, debug that code, and get rid of any errors, and then eventually run that code to produce a final product. So Visual Studio Code has different ways of being downloaded depending on your operating system. So if you have a Windows, go ahead and click on this button right here. And if you have a Mac, go ahead and click on this button right here, right? So go ahead and pause this tutorial if needed to take that extra second to download Visual Studio Code, make sure that it is downloaded and installed with no difficulties, and then return to this tutorial and let's get right into coding. So once you've downloaded Visual Studio Code, you should see an icon. If you have a MacBook at least, you should see an icon at the bottom of your screen that looks something like this, right? So this is my Visual Studio Code icon right here. I'm gonna go ahead and click on that, and that's going to open up my Visual Studio Code application, okay? So this is how Visual Studio Code should look. Congrats, you've officially opened up your Visual Studio Code, which is the first step, so props to you. Now, Visual Studio Code has these different icons on the left-hand side right here. And we're going to click on the first icon, which is Explorer, right? Now this Explorer icon will take us to this sidebar right here. And within that sidebar, we want to click on this icon right here that says Open Folder, okay? So we're going to click on Open Folder. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a new folder to store our webpage project. So we want to name our folder accordingly, right? In case you have other folders on your laptop or computer or PC, you want to be able to easily identify that this is the folder that contains the project you're going to be working on today. So when we create this web page, feel free to personalize, customize this web page based on your desires, your personal desires. For example, if you want to create a web page about nature, right? How would you do that? So what you're going to do is you're going to click on this new folder icon right here. You're going to create a new folder, and you can call it whatever, right? You can call it nature_webpage maybe, and you can go ahead and click create. And now you've officially created a folder to store your web page dedicated to nature. And you're going to click open right here, and that's going to open up that folder. Now what you want to do next is you want to click this icon right here next to the name of your folder, right? Nature webpage. If you click on nature webpage, you should see these icons right here, 4 icons, and you want to click on the first of the 4 icons, which says new file. You're going to create a new file, and this is a file within which we'll be physically writing your HTML code to create your webpage, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to name your file something different than what you named your folder. So since your folder is called nature_webpage in this case, maybe we can just call our file nature, right? We can just keep it at that. But we're not exactly done yet, right? We want to specify the language that we are coding in to our IDE, to our integrated development environment. And the way we do that is by adding an extension to the name of the file, right? So you put down the name of the file, and now you're going to type dot, and you're going to put the name of the language that you're programming in, right? So for example, if we were programming in Java, we would write .java. And you can see that the icon changes here depending on what language you're programming in, because Visual Studio Code is able to recognize it right away right after you type the extension name. If you were programming in C, which is another programming language, you would type C. But in our case, we're programming in HTML. So we're gonna go ahead and create this file called nature.html. So good job, you've officially completed the second step, which is initiating that new file within your folder where you're going to be creating your web page, okay? So now what we're going to do next is we're going to start writing code within this file. Now, for time purposes, I have already created and written the code for my web page, but I just wanted to go ahead and create a new folder and a new file for anybody who has never used Visual Studio Code before and needs help with that initial step. So now that I've showed you guys how to create a folder and create a new file within that folder to start writing your code, I'm going to go ahead and open my pre-written code up for you guys so that you guys can follow along with it. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. For me, it is currently stored within this folder that I've decided to call my project. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my project, and then within this folder called my project, I have my file, which is called Equitech_horizons.html, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and guide you through my code and explain what each aspect of the code means. And as you're listening, you can go ahead and type along as I'm narrating what each portion of the code signifies, right? So let's take a look at the first line. This first line of code right here, doc type HTML, the purpose of this is declaring the document type, right? It tells the browser to expect an HTML document. So when we go ahead and actually run this code, right, when we execute this program, it's going to open the website up on a new page, and it will indicate to that web page, to the browser, to expect an HTML document, right? A document written in HTML. Now, we're specifically working with HTML5. HTML5 is the latest standard for HTML, and it includes a lot of different features for accessibility, which is perfect for our purposes. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to declare the language that we are typing, that we are creating our web page in. So the language that we're going to be using is English. We want to specify that our web page will be in English to our program, right? So that our program recognizes that. And this is exactly how you declare that your web page will be in English to your program. Now, what we're going to do after that is we're going to create this something called a head block, right? The head block is going to contain these elements. The first one is char set equals UTF-8, right here. And what this is doing is essentially it's ensuring that our text is universally readable. And then this next part right here, name equals viewport, is basically ensuring that it's helping with the responsiveness, right, on different devices. It's a meta tag, right? Meta, as you can see here. This meta tag called viewport basically helps with responsiveness on different devices. In case somebody wants to open your web page up on an iPad, or an iPhone, anything other than your traditional laptop or PC, okay? And this right here is basically declaring the width and the scale of the web page, right? It's adapting the width and the scale of the web page based on what device you open it up on, okay? Now, this next part, which says title, accessible web page example, is basically giving our page a name, which is also the first thing that's read by screen readers, right? When someone navigates to our website. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to basically declare a head and a body, right? So within the body, we start with the header element, right? This header element will contain the main heading of our page. In our case, it's going to be welcome to Equitech Horizons. I've chosen to model my web page after my blog site. So I'm going to make this the header of my blog site, or excuse me, web page. The next thing that we would like to do is that we'd basically like to use an H1 tag, which is used for the main title. It's the most important heading on our page, right? And the navigation element is basically going to create a list, right? It's a list that helps users understand the structure of our site and move around easily, with each A tag that you see here leading to a different section, right? So the first A tag leads to an about section, the second A tag leads to a project section, and the third A tag leads to a contact section, right? So this is a convention for that. This is a syntax. This is exactly how you should be typing it out on your end, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a main and a section tag, right? A main tag and a section tag. So the main tag is over here, and then the section tag is over here. The main tag holds the core content of our page, And that page is going to be divided into sections, right, with section tags. So this is the first section, right, the about section. This is the next section right here, the project section, and this is our third section right here, the contact section, right? So you can go ahead and pause this tutorial just to familiarize yourself and kind of process what I've just said. So essentially each section has a clear heading, right? Like this this about page will have an about us heading, right? And it's going to have this additional line right here, right, that says we are dedicated to creating inclusive technology solutions, right? So yeah, each section basically has a clear heading, right? That heading is stored within this tag that says H2, which is vital for screen readers to navigate the content effectively. So now we have our article tags, right? What are our article tags? Articles within our sections, right? You can see that they're embedded within the sections. So these articles, what they do is they are basically providing specific information. Screen readers can identify these as like standalone content, which is helpful for users to find topics of interest, right? So this first project, right, within this project section, let's say it's called accessible web design, right? And this right here, this additional line will specify what that project is about. This project focuses on designing websites that are accessible to everyone. Project 2 is called inclusive software. Our software development includes features for users with diverse needs, right? That's what this second project is about, right? And then this is basically how you want to end off your HTML file, right? You want to close your page with a footer tag. This typically contains contact information and copyright notices. Think of it as like the goodbye after a conversation, right? So you want to make sure that you're ending your HTML document or file with this footer. So now what we're going to do is we're going to run this web page, and I'm going to show you exactly how it looks when you run it, right? So what you want to do is you want to click on this extensions icon right here on the left hand side of your Visual Studio Code screen, and you want to type in the extension live server, and you're going to go ahead and click on this first option that pops up right here. In my case, live server is already installed, right? That's why I have an option that says uninstall, because it's already installed on my end. In your case, this button should say install, right? So go ahead and install live server. This extension is important, right? Because it basically creates a temporary server for you to host your new web page. And then go ahead and right click on your HTML file, right? And what you can then do is go ahead and click on, let's see, open with live server. You see this button right here that says open with live server? You can also access this option by clicking Command O, right? So I'm going to click open with live server. And there you go. There's my temporary web page, right? You can see everything that we coded written out on the screen, right? We have our Welcome to Equitech Horizons title of our web page. Then we have these 3 different sections right here, an about us, a project section, a contact section. And then each section, right? What does each section represent? Well, we have the about us section, right? We have the our project section, and the our project section contains these 2 different projects that I wrote on in my program. And then we have a contact us section, right? So basically everything that we wrote in the program is visible on this web page. So make sure that everything that you added to your own file is visible on your web page, right? And again, what was the entire purpose of this project, right? How does it relate to the mission of Equitech Horizons? It's all about inclusivity, right? Language declaration. By declaring the language of the website as English, we're basically ensuring that screen readers can correctly pronounce the content, which is crucial for users who rely on those tools due to visual impairments, right, or other disabilities. We also have like semantic HTML, right? The header, the navigation, the main, the section, the footer, those different tags that I was walking you through. Using these tags gives structure to the content, making it easier for screen readers to navigate the website. And this structure approach basically means that everyone, including people with disabilities, can access the information in a logical order, right? So it's all about inclusivity and accessibility. Creating this webpage, the simple webpage, the bare bones of this webpage, in such a simple and convenient manner allows screen readers of different backgrounds, of different needs, to easily access our webpage and to learn about what our webpage can offer to them. So ultimately, through this project, we've basically woven a digital tapestry, right? That's as diverse as the community we serve. Ultimately, it's a testament to Equitech's vision, right? Where every line of code brings us closer to a more inclusive and equitable STEM field. And so I really want to thank you for joining us today. Hopefully your website, your webpage was able to come up with no difficulties, and I hope you join us on our next tutorial. Thank you guys.